Former President Donald Trump is seeking to secure his fourth consecutive primary state victory in South Carolina on Saturday, competing against Nikki Haley. His goal is to embarrass his last major rival for the Republican nomination in her home state. But before we continue, please use some time to like this video and hit the subscribe button. Trump entered the primary with a significant lead in the polls and the support of prominent Republicans in the state, including Senator Tim Scott, who was once his competitor in the race. Haley, who previously served as the UN ambassador under Trump and was twice elected as governor of South Carolina, has spent weeks campaigning across the state. She has been warning that the frontrunner, who is 77 years old and faces 4 indictments, is unfit and too distracted to be president again. Since 1980, the winner of the Republican primary in South Carolina has typically gone on to become the party's nominee. However, Haley has repeatedly stated that she will continue her campaign even if she loses her home state. Trump appears to be positioning himself for a potential rematch against President Joe Biden in the general election. Trump supporters, including those who previously backed Haley during her time as governor, seem confident that the former president will achieve a decisive victory on Saturday. One supporter at a recent rally expressed his belief that Haley is not prepared to compete against a candidate like Trump. Trump has held several large rallies in South Carolina, in addition to fundraising events and appearances in other states such as Michigan, which will hold its GOP primary on Tuesday. He has garnered larger crowds and campaigned alongside Governor Henry McMaster, who succeeded Haley, and Senator Tim Scott, who was elevated to the Senate by Haley. During a speech in Rock Hill, Trump accused Haley of staying in the race at the request of Democratic donors in order to harm his chances of winning in November. He vowed not to allow that to happen. At some of his rallies, Trump has made comments that have provided ammunition for Haley's speeches. For example, he questioned why Haley's husband, who is currently deployed with the South Carolina Army National Guard in Africa, had not been campaigning with her. Haley turned this into an argument that the frontrunner lacks respect for service members and their families, a criticism that has been leveled against Trump in the past, particularly regarding his remarks about the late Senator John McCain, who was a prisoner of war in Vietnam. On the same night, Trump stated that he would support countries like Russia in doing whatever the hell they want against NATO member countries that fail to meet defense spending targets. Haley has used this as evidence that Trump is too unpredictable and weak when it comes to dealing with Russia. Following one of Haley's events, a U.S. Navy veteran stated that he had initially planned to support Trump but changed his mind after hearing Haley's critique of his NATO comments. He believed that countries should adhere to agreements made with other nations rather than acting unilaterally. Haley has indirectly appealed to Democrats who did not participate in their own presidential primary earlier in the month. She has added a line to her speeches stating that anybody can vote in this primary as long as they didn't vote in the February 3 Democrat primary. Some of these voters have shown up at her events, indicating that although they intend to vote for Biden in the general election, they plan to cross over and vote in the GOP primary as a way to oppose Trump for now. In most campaign cycles, losing one's home state would be detrimental to a candidate's campaign. In 2016, Senator Marco Rubio dropped out shortly after losing Florida to Trump in a significant defeat, believing that the political landscape would change in his favor once the campaign moved to his home state. However, Haley's campaign cannot identify a state where they believe she will be victorious over Trump. Nevertheless, in a recent speech in Greenville, Haley declared that she would remain in the campaign until the last person votes, arguing that voters in later contests deserve the right to choose between candidates. She also used the speech, which many initially assumed would be an announcement of the end of her campaign, to assert that she does not feel obligated to pledge loyalty to Trump, as others have done, possibly with hopes of being chosen as his running mate. Haley emphasized that she has no fear of retribution from Trump and is not seeking anything from him. She stated that her own political future is of no concern to her. Thank you for watching. Before you go, please leave your thoughts in the comments section, subscribe, and stay tuned for more updates.